in Game 200. How are you feeling?
Yeah, very excited. I guess it's a moment in my career where I can sort of pause and look back on when I look back in hindsight, it's been a pretty quick process. Like, it is 9 years, but time flies. So it is probably the moment throughout my career that I've sort of stopped and looked back and really sort of savoured things that have happened.
So how does it match up with what you were expecting? How does it live up to it?
Oh, it's exceeded all my expectations, I think. It's pretty well documented, my story when I was drafted and the position the club was in, and in all honesty I was probably looking at getting out of the club as soon as I could and doing my 2 years and moving on, but this club and this family, I guess, is something that's so special to me and something that I'm proud to be able to put my mark on and one day be able to say that when I'm old and well past playing footy, that I've contributed to and been a part of. So it's probably the most special thing that I've been part of in my life, apart from my own family, but it's something that I always savour.
Obviously you and Ken have been here almost for the same amount of time. No flag yet. Do you feel like time's ticking?
I still think time's always ticking for any football club, whatever position they're in. I think we haven't met our expectations for the season, and mathematically we still are a chance for finals, but it is tough from here. But I think every club has expectations to play finals and win a flag every year, and we're as hungry to do that as ever, and we keep putting ourselves in the position where we're around the mark, but this year we've fallen short. So I think it's never going to deter us from turning up and chasing that flag. So year after year we'll come back to work and go after it again.
Ollie, what's that partnership been like? Just one senior coach that you've known?
Yeah, no, it's been really special. I think there's only a few of us left, Boki, myself, Robbie, Tom Cleary and TJ maybe, and we've formed a really good bond. I think being able to understand each other, not just on a football level, but more of a personal level, is really beneficial in developing trust throughout those relationships. So Ken's been a really good figure for me, not just as a footballer, but in life, being able to live away from home and away from my family and make me feel really comfortable here. So I guess him and probably Travis Boak, who was my captain in the early days, have been those two figures in my football career over in Adelaide.
You mentioned at the start that you're walking into a place that had a lot of questions about it. 10 years on, how do you feel about the football program here?
Yeah, no, look, I'm really happy with our football program. I think from those days, through a lot of heavy lifting by Ken, Koshy, Keith Thomas and Boki back then, the culture that's been created at this club is, I'm obviously biased in saying it, but I don't think there's any better AFL club to do it around the league. And in saying that, we haven't won a premiership and we have been close a couple of times, but I think there's other sort of KPIs you can measure that culture on, and I think we're ranked as high as you can be at the club. I think the culture we've got at the club and the feeling we've got in the change rooms to turn up to work each day and want to improve and want to aspire to get better is huge here.
I mean, is there some frustration with this year? Because you look at that third quarter on the weekend, it's probably the best football you've played the whole season. It probably gives you guys a glimpse that you can match with the best, but you just haven't been able to do it for long enough. Is there any frustration that you in how you play?
Yeah, certainly. I think those quarters throughout the year that we've seen where we're able to put 7-8 goals on those good teams, it is frustrating because it's not as consistent as it has been in the last couple of years. And I think in those games where we are playing those top four sides, we're only getting beaten by 2 or 3 goals, but it's not close enough to be competing those in those games. So that has probably been the most frustrating thing, being in those games but not being able to win them, which I think shows that we're just a little bit off at the moment and not quite up to that. But it is frustrating when you put those quarters together and you can kick 8 goals on the number 1 team in the league and not quite get over the line because you just can't finish it off.
If this isn't your season, it looks like it probably won't be, just going by the mathematics, how quickly do you think you can bounce back to turn it around again?
Yeah, I think we can bounce back incredibly quick. I think going 0-5 to start the season, it's very hard to make up that ground on the opposition teams on the ladder when you start like that. So I think we've got to prepare ourselves a little bit better to start the season well and get some wins off in those first couple of months. But I think we've got full confidence in our team and our list, and we look at our list compared to the last couple of years and not much has changed. I think it's just sort of getting back to what makes us the best football club we can be and focusing on that throughout the pre-season.
Just for following that, do you think you need to make significant change to the list or footy department in general in the off-season to get back contending?
Look, that's probably not for me to answer, but from my perspective, I think we've got a really good list, a really good young and developing list with a lot of growth left. So we have some older guys who are still in really good form and can play the game, but I think our upside again is from the young guys that are coming through, playing different positions, learning how to go about it differently and be AFL footballers. I think the growth that we've got to come is still in those guys.
Did you overestimate the list this year?
I don't think so, no. I think our list is the same as it has been for the last 2 years. We've virtually got a pretty similar 22 that's had the most wins on the previous 2 seasons, so I don't think we overestimated anything. It's just probably execution in games.
Well, you share the moment with Tom Jonas this weekend, 200 each. Is it ironic in some way that you're so strongly linked in key moments here?
Yeah, no, I think so. TJ's become one of my best mates, and we played our 150 together, and turns out we're playing the 200 together. So to be able to stand next to him and support him as captain and see the captain and leader he is for myself and the playing group is something that I'm incredibly proud of. To see his development as a leader. He used to be a real tough Tommy and didn't show a lot of empathy or didn't really have that softer side, and to see his development in that area, to be able to really care for his teammates, not just set the standard throughout games. We know how hard and tough he is, but off the field, throw the arm around someone and really care and listen to someone has been a growth that I think he's himself's really proud of. And I look at him as a leader, and there's not many areas where he sort of has deficiencies these days.
What have been your major growths?
I
I was about to say, what have been your major growths over the 10 years, do you think?
As a footballer?
Just in general, since you walked into the club.
Good question. I think I probably almost I didn't have it easy, but I always give an opportunity to play AFL from day one. The position the club was in, and I guess my draft position, I was always given that opportunity by Ken and the coaches, and I think just making the most of that and learning when I was young, learning how to play the game, learning off midfielders around me. I mentioned Boki before. I think Boki's been a really good leader and example for me, not just football-wise, but off-field-wise. He does an enormous amount of work. So just learning how to be a good football and good person off the field has probably been my biggest sort of natural development.
Well, you've spoken about Ken, mate. Obviously, the link with both you goes back, as you touched on. Does the speculation around his future and what's going to happen next year bother you at the top of the players?
I don't think so. No, that's not really up to us. I think in terms of the playing group, we've got full faith in Ken and all the coaches and everyone at the club. I think the belief in our group has never faltered throughout the year. Despite when we were 0-5, we always had full belief in what we were doing and what we could do. And at this stage, it hasn't panned out fully to what we expected, but our belief in Ken and everyone at the footy club is still there.
Do you sort of, when does that moment sink in for you? Like, in cricket, as soon as you get to 100, there's the moment. But for footy, is it when you run out on the ground? When does the milestone really hit home for you?
I probably won't be again until well after my career. I don't think you look back on those things straight away. I think it's probably something 5-10 years down the track after you've sort of retired and moved on from the professional athlete life that you look back and see what you sort of achieved and what you're able to do. So I'm sure throughout this week I'll have a bit of a think about it, but it probably's not until down the track that it really sinks in.
If we gave you the right to finish the script, how would you fill in the next 100, 150 games?
So, what do you reckon, Rooch? A couple of couple of
No, it's up to
premierships,
you.
I'd
It's
imagine.
up to you.
Oh, look, I want to win the premiership. Always my goal, probably over the last couple of years, is not so much for myself, but I look at guys like Robbie and TJ and Boki who have been at this club for so many years and stuck by it and stuck true, and I want to get one for them. I want to see those guys be able to stand up and receive a premiership medal. I think they've set the standard and got this club going in the right direction. That's really what they deserve.
Looking forward to this weekend, the Pies have been in some red hot form. How are you going to be able to snap their winning streak?
Yeah, no, they've been in some good form. I think they play some really good attacking football, so we're really good defensively, so I think that plays into our hand a little bit. They like to play really quick and perhaps take the game on at a risk at times, so I think if our defence is on like it has been, I think we can cause some turnovers, and then probably our main concern this year has probably been going back and converting those inside 50 to score. I think we're able to turn the ball over. It's just being able to make the most of it and convert it to score.
Did you see Collingwood's win on the
Last one.
weekend and Elliott's goal? And what was your reaction to that?
I certainly saw it after. It was everywhere. I didn't watch the game live, but it was some kick to kick it from sort of the junction of the 50 and boundary, walking through, and it wasn't even sort of mid-siren. Like the siren can tend to sort of put you off at times, but he held his nerve, and it was one of the better sort of after-siren goals I've seen.
And
Sorry.
just one more. You won a centre bounce clearance as a ruckman on the weekend. How did that happen? And is it something you'd like to do more of?
Yeah, it's not real hard. I kept telling the ruckman that. It's probably not something I'll do too much of. I think generally in the ruck you take a fair bit of a battering. At the moment, Jez and Charlie are doing an enormous amount of work for not being ruckmen, for being forwards and having to play that role 100% of the time. They're doing a huge amount of work. I think what we understand is those guys at ground level are probably going to outdo their opponent, so we're willing to sacrifice the sort of hit out in the air to make up with an extra ground level player. So it's probably something I won't do too much more of. It was just, there was a bit of confusion with positions at that time.
Sorry, one last one for me. You've obviously talked about how close you are with Ken and what he means to the club. When you see a sign like what was on the road saying Sat Ken, does it affect you and maybe how your relationship is, considering that people don't get to see him behind closed door and what he's like?
I didn't see the sign, so to be honest, it hasn't affected me. I don't think too much of that affects us within the group. I understand that supporters are emotional and they want the best for their team, and they're always going to sort of have their opinion, and we love that, and we love the passion that our supporters have. But in terms of external sort of factors, it doesn't really influence what we feel or what we think. At the end of the day, we work side by side together every day, and we know what sort of makes each other tick and what we're doing to make this football club better. So we love seeing passion in our supporters, but in terms of probably one-on-one, it doesn't influence us too much.